on the set in 3, 2, 1, going live.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of HB Unplugged. What episode is this? Alejandro, what episode is this? 18? Wow, episode 18, Don.
That's a lot.
Unreal.
That's doing good.
Yeah, we're doing really good. I'm Mel Craig.
And I'm Don Ramsey.
And we're going to welcome, I'll let you do the introduction. Yeah, let's.
Okay, so today we have with us at the HB Unplugged podcast, Robyne Wood. She is the founder and organizer of Robin's Nest.
Yeah. So
501.
Well, yeah. Hi, Robin. We'll be asking a lot of questions about what Robin's Nest is and things like that. But for the listeners out there, let's get them to know who Robyne Wood is and who you are. Married, obviously, your husband.
Yeah. So married. Actually, today's our 25th anniversary.
Oh my gosh, unreal! Let's give her a big. Hey, everybody out there, let's give her a big hand. All right,
I did
Robin,
not
25
know that.
years. That is so, and you're spending it with us.
Well, he was supposed to have a long work day, and then all of a sudden he was home at like noon. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I got things to do." Oh. So, but after this, we're going out to our favorite spot, Longboards downtown.
Oh yeah,
good.
cool.
Yeah.
That
So
would
yeah.
be
So
awesome.
25 years married, been together 28. We have 2 amazing children. Our daughter Savannah is 25, and she lives in Texas. Getting married next year, and going to be done with nursing school in a few months. And then our awesome son just turned 18 and works at Curtin Maritime over in the Long Beach port, and just started that job. And
Wow, is
doing
he a
very
merchant
well.
marine or?
He's a welder.
Oh, okay, fabricator. Yeah.
Yeah, doing that, but they stuck him in the mechanics of the bilge motors, so not bilge motors, sorry, the barge motors, and working on them the last couple of weeks. So he's enjoying a lot of different things. So
Oh,
he's
that's very good. Yeah.
And
He's
he's a surfer. He was on the Huntington Beach Board Rider Club for
yeah,
a while there, too.
yeah,
was he?
surfer. He's
Yeah.
hadn't done much of that lately. He's been too busy working, but
Yeah.
surfer, loves fishing. As I mentioned, we know Fisherman's Hardware around the corner very well. So
That's what I tell everybody. I'm right behind him. You mentioned your daughter's a nurse. So's mine. My daughter's
Yeah.
a nurse. Yeah. She's just graduating. She's gonna be a triage nurse, I guess.
yeah, she hasn't decided quite. She lives in a small town. She's been working at the county hospital for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years, and I think she's done with that. She needs to find something different. So, I said, there's so many opportunities out there. Like, you can do anything you want.
Oh
so,
yeah. Whatever
so
your heart desires.
she's just ready to be done with school.
So I've been fortunate enough to get to know you through Don, and I've attended several of the charity events that I know Don was involved in, and I know he's helped raise a lot of money for Robin's Nest. So why don't we talk a little bit about Robin's Nest and what the charity is, what's it all about, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I started Robinson. We're actually 10 years old this year.
Wow.
April 8th, we celebrated 10 years and had an event to bring everybody together and just kind of talk about everything that we've been doing. And so started it, just saw a need, and a couple people were like, "Oh, you should start a nonprofit." And I was like, "I couldn't do that. I could never do that." And so after happy hour with some friends,
little alcohol courage. What do they call that?
yeah, bullying. I don't know, something like that.
Bullying,
Anyway, I'm just kidding. They were like, "Well, you can do this." So I started doing it, and really just was meant to help some kids out, and get some donations, a few donations.
So when you start saying you decided to start a nonprofit and help some kids, in what way?
Well, I'm getting there.
Oh, good. Okay.
So
yeah.
it was just like, at the time I was like, giving food and this and that. And then it became this, well, what's your mission? And I was like, what is my mission? And so my mission, our mission at Robin's Nest is to help our local at-risk and homeless high school students who have little to no parental support finish high school and get on a path to self-sufficiency.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're long-term support, and really everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, getting them through high school." I'm like, that's really the easy part. The hard part is once they graduate, because then there's this reality of like, what do I do, right? They had a plan of survival, and then with us, that plan has kind of changed to where, gee, I can kind of live now. But then after they graduate high school, a lot of them didn't really have plans after that because it was just surviving. So we really we invest a lot of time and energy into well, what did you want to do? Did you ever have dreams? Do you have skills? Do you have passions? And, I have recently one young man, he's actually an older brother of another student, and, he's 25 and he has no answer for any of those questions because he's lived to survive still. And so we're working on him at like breaking that down and like, what do you like to do? And what can you do? What are your skills? What brings you joy? And, just bit by bit, like peeling back the layers and figuring out who he is underneath. So we provide all of our own services. We don't outsource. We're not like a case management service. We believe in just total wraparound services, and to make sure that we have good quality services, we make sure that we're providing all of it. We're not referring out. So we have our own housing. We bought a house actually 2 years ago, and renovated it and opened it last January. And we've been full. We can house up to 6 kids at a time. So we've been like right now we kind of have a wait list, and so. I want to say to my board, oh, is it time to add an addition? But I don't want to see their heads pop open. So we have that level of housing, and then once they graduate, we have a second level of housing, which are apartments that we rent here in Huntington. We have 3 of them. We have 2 girls and a boys apartment, and that's like a next level of like not supervised 24/7 like the house is. It's more like they're learning more independent living skills. They have to have a certain amount to be there. And
a certain amount of funding or
finances? Life skills.
Oh, yeah,
life skills.
Okay.
No, because most of our kids, they come to us. They don't have much, so we know that. But we work on building them up, getting a job. What are your next steps? Are you going to go to our local community colleges have really great programs, and whether you get a 2-year degree or certificate or just go for a few classes, we strongly encourage that. So we figure out what that's going to look like. We work on, most of our kids come with us, they don't have driver's license, so that's always a goal, getting them to help with that. Actually, my husband, Kirby, is probably one of our best student driving instructor. Driving instructor, there we go.
He actually puts the kids in and
very
good.
That's his job. He has a lot of patience for that. That's not my job.
I couldn't do it. I'd be wondering where my brake pedal is on my side.
Yeah, he's so good at it. So he does that a lot for us, and so those are always goals to get them their driver's license, even if they don't want to get a car immediately. It's like good to have, and of course now you need a real ID, so that takes that place. So we do all of those. We have our own therapist. She's actually a psychologist. She does all of our in-house mental health therapy, grief groups, one-on-one therapy. We do life skills. We do all of our own life skills. We bring people in. We do everything from personal hygiene to relationships, cooking, finances, how to get a job, how to keep a job, how to find a job, like just everything in between. We do social media safety. We do data privacy. We want to make sure that we're filling in all those gaps that they did not get growing up
what our current educational system doesn't teach a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly. So when you don't have the 2 places that are supposed to give you the things that you need, they're so lacking, and that's where like they open themselves up to, not that they open themselves, but they're open to like the evils of the world. That with social media, you got human trafficking, you got survival mode, which sometimes can be getting into abusive relationships. It could be criminal activity, not to be criminals, but to survive, like doing what they have to do. So we're really trying to like curb that, and as we've adopted, breaking those cycles to change their lives for the better.
You're really opening up a lot of options.
Yeah.
How many kids do you help a year?
So
is there a number that you have for that?
Yes and no. So we really have 2 facets to Robin's Nest. We have our homeless kids and like wraparound service students that we help, and we really give all that I just mentioned to. And so for that number, like right now, we have active or pending around 56 kids. But the other side of Robin's Nest is we try to help students out at the schools, through the school, and our administrators out there with other basic needs that for whatever reason they're not getting them from their home life. And that doesn't mean that they needed all of our services, but that they need stuff like food or clothing or bedding. It's those types of things that for whatever reason the parents can't provide that. And we don't ask, we're not like, oh, you got to do the paperwork and be in the program for that if it's just, needs here and there. So with that, I would say, I would guesstimate maybe another 500-600 students.
Wow. So now we're not talking just homeless.
Yeah, that's the at-risk.
Oh, that's the at-risk.
That's the at-risk, right?
Okay.
We want them coming to school. We want them, do they need a bike? Do they need shoes? Do they need a bed to sleep on? what do they need to help remove barriers so that they're coming to school, they're feeling as good as we can help them be. They're getting services at schools. Most of our schools have wellness centers now provided by Department of DOE, Department of Education, and then, excuse me, we want them to be there, and so they have that support at school. So, but they need this other stuff, which was kind of how Robyne's Nest to some degree started. When my daughter was at school, it's like, why can't we do that? Well, we're just, we're a school. There's only so much we can do, and that's where okay, well, we'll be your resource. So they call us when they need stuff. They call us, we had a school call us, and through a resource of mine, we got a parent a car. Like, not we did, but they did. But being that resource, so that's like a one-stop shop for them. But we're very student focused. Like, we're not a help the whole family type of thing. We focus on the kids because that's where we're going to see the greatest change.
Right. Wow.
So,
Don, did you know this?
Yeah.
yeah, of course he does.
He's sitting there all quiet. Yeah.
No, I just so you know. So when I first met Robyne, I didn't know this all about her. I knew a little bit, but I didn't know how in depth. And one day she helped us get the 501c3 for the Huntington Beach Board Rider Club because
cool.
we wanted to become a 501c3. So
Because you had already been through it.
Yeah. And
Couple times.
and so we met, and I told her, hey, I'm going to come over and you're going to show me. She said, yeah, no problem. And so I ended up hanging out with was it for a couple, 2 or 3 days I came to your house?
Yeah.
And we finally got it done. She got it, pushed it right through, and we became a 501c3. And in the interim of all that, talking to her and finding out a little bit more about what Robyne's Nest was, I decided to let her know, I'd like to help financially with some of the events I do. And so pretty much all the events or a portion of the events that I do, the money goes to Robyne's Nest. And it's a way of me giving back. I don't know it exactly what she does, but I can honestly say when we give her the donation, it's going to the right place.
That's good.
And especially with, kids in Huntington Beach, and local just like you. And I love everything about this town. And when I come across stuff like this, I definitely want to be part of it. So
it's funny,
it
Don.
all worked.
Don just mentioned something, and I'll be honest with you. So many charities, they take money, but you can't help but wonder, where does that money go? Because you still see the function of that not working.
Yeah.
And so, like right now, for my Revivify Corporation, I'm looking at veterans, helping veterans. Mm-hmm. And I can't believe how many negative reviews are about these charities that take this money for veterans, but the veterans never see the end benefit.
Right.
And that was great to hear something like that. And I, too, would like to get involved with Don. And we're going to definitely give a shout out today for Robyne's Nest. But I'm assuming it's all charitable dollars that make this happen.
Yeah, it is. And, and I feel like I didn't come up with this, so I'm not going to take credit for it. But, somebody pointed out to me when they asked me, that same question, like, where does the money go? And I said, well, we try to keep our, expenses low, and, I'm very frugal. And they said, well, didn't you buy a house? And I said, yeah, and so, they had a good conversation and schooled myself on, the fact that in 10 years we bought, $1 million house. I mean, we do have a mortgage, but we bought it, we renovated it, and we have a house for homeless high school students in Huntington Beach. And it really, until they kind of really pointed that out, I mean, I know you think it's the obvious considering I run the organization, but just the magnitude of that and how we manage our money. I am very frugal, we stretch our dollar, right? We don't have a big fancy office. We just don't have a lot of stuff, right? We don't need stuff, we make our own folders. We do a lot of our own stuff or our own task. We're not always just buying everything just because it's bright and shiny, because at the end of the day, that's not what the money's for. It's to make change. It's to make effective change with our students.
With the kids, yeah.
With the kids, and that's where the money should be going.
Wow.
So I'm I wish I had more staff at this point, but we're working on it, and that's kind of down the road, just to, to better, not care for our kids. I mean, I think we do a great job, but there's really only 3 of us. Technically, there's 2 full-time I'm one of those people, but I'm also running the company, so I'm not even really full-time student care. But there's one full-time student care, and then technically 3 of us part-time that deal with all the students.
Do you ever look for volunteers or volunteer help?
We do. Like, we have a lot of volunteers, but we don't have volunteers doing that type of student care.
Right. That's got to be paid people.
Yeah, that's just a different level. But we do have a few student mentors that help us a lot with our students. And again, they're hand selected. They have to be with us for a while, and I have to get to know their personality and kind of what their goal is in being there. And it needs to be about Robin's Nest and our kids, and not necessarily, oh, I'm here because this is good for me type of thing, which it is. I mean, we want it to be good for them, but at the end of the day, the kids need to come first. Like, they need to be there because they really want to help.
So, kind of interesting on this topic, these kids and the families, and you've now kind of shown me something I didn't know. You're not only helping homeless kids, you're helping families that have kids that they can't support. When you're talking about all these things that you're doing for them, do the kids have a place to go besides homeless home? Do they have a place to go study? Is there places like a game room or things like that they get involved in? Is the organization put in place where, hey, we're all meeting here to do this on a Saturday or something like that?
Well, so all of our kids in our program, not necessarily the ones from out the schools, we have, during the school year, we have life skills every Monday. So we're learning different life skills or we get together and we do, like we did self-defense on Monday out in the park, right?
Wow,
So we do that.
That's what I was getting
So
at. Yeah.
we do different things. During the summer, we take a break from life skills, and we do fun activities. Ocean Institute is a great partner of ours. They take us out on the boats. They talk about the ocean and great things like that. Previously, Board Riders has taken a couple kids out on surfboards. Like, we do a lot more fun activities during the summer. During the breaks, like winter break and things like that, we will do some fun things with the kids, maybe, going to the movies and just getting them out to maybe just experience different things. Just this week, one of my students, she's going to be 18, and she's always wanted to go to see Hamilton. So I found tickets and took her to Hamilton for her birthday, and they just haven't had those opportunities. So we really try to make the off season really fun and engaging, and just presenting new ideas and experiences for them.
One of the things that I participated helped in, and she had me dress as Santa.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had this.
That's right. Oh my God.
They had this big party with all their kids, and they didn't know that Santa was walking in. But they're all like teenagers, right? And so Santa comes in, trying to be like Santa Claus. And they're all, wow, look at Santa and all this stuff. And so I just kind of kicked back. We just kind of partied. I didn't take my beard off or anything, but I just started talking normal about different stuff here in Huntington Beach. And it was kind of cool because they were all like very, they were sociable, but they also were very, I don't even know that other than the word stoked that, here was this guy who thought he was going to come in as Santa Claus, and now just being myself and talking to them. And
they related.
We had food and we kind of talked, and it was actually really cool, man.
Yeah, it was our holiday party. We do a big holiday party.
I've seen Don and Fig.
You never know.
I've seen Rockin' Fig and Don as Santas many times.
So, but yeah, we do that. And, and it's funny because for our 10th anniversary, I asked a lot of the students if anybody wanted to do like a video about their experiences with Robin's Nest that we could share. And it's funny, one of the students was like, one of my favorite all-time things is the holiday party, because I know that at some point during the year, I get to be with a whole bunch of people that are like me, and just that I'm going to be loved, and we get gifts and we have great food, and it's just a special time. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that was sort of what I was alluding to was, are there times when they all get together and kind of build? Because I'm assuming they all come from the same cloth, and they probably all are sharing similar experiences. Yeah. And to get them together, they have a chance to talk to each other and see that they're not alone. The other kids are involved in this and fighting the same thing.
Yeah.
Wow, what an amazing story.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's nice because our apartments are all together. They used to be scattered out, but then as this one complex liked us, and as they got empty apartments, all three are over there. Unfortunately, recently it was purchased, and I'm not sure how how much longer we're going to be there, but we're going to be scouting out another, because it's such a nice setup, because the kids do then get together, and if somebody drives, they drive them all to life skills. They kind of do things. One of our kids, he's a great cook, and so he wins the girls over with, cinnamon muffins and cookies and all kinds of things. I'm like, dude, easy there. So, but yeah, just, it's nice. It's not, it's like a community for them. So, and it's, for most of them, they've never had that. So,
Growing up as a kid, I know Don will relate to this big time. We grew up and, our dads loved us, but we had to earn back then.
Yeah.
Our dad said, oh, you want to do something? Go wash the car for $5.
Yeah.
Go mow the lawn for $5. And go throw the newspaper. There's different things that we did as young
I had a
kids.
route, yeah.
Yeah, we had paper routes, and we did those. And one of my things that I did was detailing. And I don't know what you know about me, but I've been training in the auto car care industry for now, since 1999. I opened up the very first ever auto detailing school, and soup to nuts how to get into a career of auto car care and detailing. And I'd love to do a day event for the kids and show them, because growing up, there's a way I can show them, get them all set up with a waterless car wash kit, and they can go earn $75 to $150 easy.
yeah.
Washing a car, cleaning it up and making it look good and polishing it by hand. And there's little easy ways to do that. And I would do the class for free just to show them how that would work. I'd donate
that would
my
be
time
great.
and energy, and then I'd send them off with a car wash kit.
Yeah.
And that would be from me to you guys.
Well, and that would be great, because, it's honestly like, I don't know how much you're all on social media, but, I see tons, and we're in that position too when we get some of our younger kids. It's hard to find jobs for the younger ones, right?
Yeah.
I started working when I was 14 at a Ramada Inn as a housekeeper, and my son was fortunate enough, both my kids working when my daughter started a little earlier, around 13. My son started at 14 working, like especially during the summers and then things like that. But it's really hard unless you have an inn. And it's just the liability these days. Nobody wants to hire anybody under 18, and it's just
And I can show them a little trade. They can go clean up a car in 3 hours and make $75 to $150 easy, simple.
Yeah.
And they don't need tools, supplies. They don't need a license. They don't need a certification.
Yeah.
They can find their friends and families and people that want a car done, and they can knock one out and make some extra cash that way. And I'd love to be the one to. I take that personal. Any students that have been through my training classes, I really take the responsibility knowing they're turning to me for this education. They better get the best.
Yeah.
So we want to send them on their way and give them a chance, for some success, some way to earn some extra money like that. That'd be great. I'd love to do that.
That could be their thing. Maybe that's their thing, right?
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Robyne, how would they do that? Email, phone? Wanted to do the shout out right now. Everybody pay attention here, because this is important stuff.
Well, so they can reach me. Our office number is 714-369-6102, or you can always email me at robyne@robynsnest.org, and that's ROBYNE at ROBYNESNEST.org. And I'm always around. I have a big maroon truck, so if you see one going down the road, it's probably me. And they can reach me
And if
anytime.
people want to donate, is there a website?
Our website is www.robynsnest.org. We're also on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Trying to get into the TikTok world. Hasn't been going real well.
Don, this is a big shout out. Anybody who's watching this episode right now, these are the kind of charities when you're always wondering, what do you want to get involved in? This is the kind of charity to get involved in, especially if you're a local here in Huntington Beach and you're supporting local Huntington Beach small businesses. Robyne's Nest is a great opportunity for you to participate within the community.
Yeah.
And I'm just assuming on the website there's a donate button.
There's a donate button. Right now, our volunteer app isn't open just because we had a rush like after the holidays, so we kind of paused it for the moment. But you can donate. Once we open again, we usually put a little announcement out on social media. Follow us on social media. You can come by the office, take a tour of our little area. We have our own life skills classroom, own therapy room. We serve the Huntington Beach High School District. We also serve Huntington Beach City School District, Fountain Valley School District, and then Newport Mesa Unified School District.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also, it's bigger than just Huntington Beach.
We went on a tour of all the schools.
Yes.
She got a phone call that someone wanted to donate these bicycles to her, like nice bikes. I mean, they were like really killer bikes. And who was that? That
It was Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota at their district office
Yep.
over in Irvine, wasn't it?
Yes,
Irvine,
yeah.
And so she calls me up. She goes, Don, I need you in your big truck, and I need for you to pick me up because we're going to go pick up a bunch of bikes. And I go, I'll be right there. So she said she's got all these bikes, and I meet her there, and I actually got there before she did. And I went in and looked at all I went into their head office, and the lady says, oh, yeah, all the bikes are back there. And, dude, there was like 30, how many bikes?
There were like 35 bikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
So-
brand new, put together. And they were put together by the executive staff. They all spent one night together putting all the bikes together.
For Robin's Nest.
Yeah, for Robin's
Wow.
Nest. One of their staff members who was big on bicycle riding was hit by a car on his bike. And they did it as a
Memorial. type.
memorial to him.
So all the
And-
bikes actually have a sticker on that, like have
With his name.
Yeah.
In memory of.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Don,
it's-
that's so cool.
Oh yeah,
You got
it was
involved.
cool. So we loaded my 20-foot box truck, and it was I had to like kind of lean them all without scratching them or getting wrecked. But I brought a bunch of moving blankets and some rope, and it worked real well. And then we went out to all these different high schools. She already had it all lined up.
Yeah.
How many were going to go where?
Real, Robin. That's so freaking cool. The two of
And
you.
we spent that afternoon
Yeah,
hitting all
delivering
those
bikes.
spots.
And that was right before Christmas last year in December. So it was like perfect timing, and just was able to bless, 35 young people of our students with bikes, so that they can get around. So the school picked them yeah, this kid could really use a bike, type of thing. So, which
Yeah.
we do a lot of anyway. Like the schools will call us and say, hey, we need a bike. So, but it just was just great timing, a great surprise. And thank you for being a last minute savior.
That worked. That was kind of fun, actually.
Don's always involved.
I know, right?
He's always involved.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on in the beach, he's got his hands in it.
Yeah.
I mentioned something. He goes, "Oh yeah, I headed that up," or "Oh yeah, I got to," "Oh I know those guys." Like everybody knows Don. Don
Yeah.
knows everybody.
Yeah, it was just a fun afternoon.
It was really great. So we're local though. I don't have any plans to expand beyond that, just because this is our towns, like these two. And part of it too is that people just don't think, oh, there's people that don't support their kids in Huntington Beach or Newport Beach or Corona Del Mar. And yeah, there are. There's kids in need everywhere. So this is our niche. This is my niche.
This is as far as you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, there's limitations.
Yeah, and I'm good with that.
We don't want to see Robin anxiety out and stressed out.
Yeah,
right?
no. Just,
At one of the schools, we were getting ready to leave, and I was sitting in the truck, and she's getting ready to get in her car, and either the teacher or the principal had walked out a couple of the kids to show them the bikes, and just to see the joy on their face, the fact they were so surprised, it was just really awesome to watch that. Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I was talking a lot because Rick is very instrumental in helping us with HB Unplugged and bringing guests on board. And we keep having another man. And I finally mentioned, I said, Don, we got to get a woman in here. And I mentioned, what about Robin? And he said, yeah, let me call her. Yeah. And, I've grown an appreciation for the people that Don knows and why he knows them. And this is why, because it's so heartwarming to see just how involved he is in the community, but individuals as well in their lives and what they do. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's watching this episode, when you think of a charity event or you want to involve yourself, this is the kind of thing that Don and I want to promote and help build. And after the show's over and, over the next several days, I do want to find out how I can get involved and help as well. Make that a reality too.
So also I wanted to say, anytime you see the big wave, and a lot of you know that I own that big fiberglass wave that the city uses, and it's just about at every big event that happens in Huntington Beach, it's usually manned by her staff. And so I like that to happen because people can donate money directly right then and there, get on the wave, get their picture taken with their pets or their family or whatever. And then it's
stand on the board and get barreled.
Yeah, it's always helped them and monetarily, and that was my main focus. After I got the wave, when Pepperdine University called me and asked me if I wanted it, I had to drive up there and finally figured out I could fix it and move it back here. I told the guy, he goes, "What are you going to do with it?" And I go, "I'm going to help by raising money with it. And they go, oh, really? And I said, yeah. And ever since I've had it, that's all it's ever been done.
Unreal.
Is to raise money for actually Robyne Wood and her staff. They're probably the number one use of it. Sometimes I do the Huntington Beach
Youth shelter.
Yeah, youth shelter. But mainly it's Robin's Nest because they set up a canopy. They're right there, and it's just so cool.
Yeah, we're a team. My husband and I, we man it a lot ourselves because it's so much fun.
Oh, yeah,
the
talking
people are
about-
like so cool, and it's a lot of fun. So we really appreciate
Unreal.
letting us be part of that.
Well, I want to thank you for being part of the show. I mean, it was
Thanks
great
for
to have
having
you. See, every time I have a guest on, I think I know you, and I think I know your share. And also, I'm like, wow, like how much more I didn't know about you and the organization, and that makes me feel like I've seen an appreciation for this community even more.
Yeah.
The people that are involved here, we're all one big family.
Yeah.
So last year, I'm on the executive board by the 4th of July, and I'm not just. It is what it is. But so they asked me, who should we have the community grand marshal? Who should we pick, Don? And I go, well, we should have Robyne Wood from Robin's Nest. And a few of the team knew who she was, but a few didn't. Then they asked me to ask her to send me a bio. I think you sent over to me, and I sent it to our consultant. You met Stacy, and a couple of the other people, Andy and them. And they go, wow. They go, we could have her in the parade. And I said, yes, let's put her in the parade. And then they reached out to her and let her know. And it was kind of funny.
So this year you're going to be the grand marshal?
No,
Last year.
Last year's parade.
Yeah. That's right. I remember seeing you go by.
And so Robyne and me are working. We're unloading a bunch of stuff into one of your storage areas.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and goes, hey, Don, is there a way that Robin's Nest could ever be in the 4th of July parade? And I had already known that we were going to pick her as a community
Unreal.
marshal. So I acted kind of dumb. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
And then it was that night or the next day that Stacy either sent you an email or called you.
She called me,
She
because
called
I was
you,
like, are you sure
and-
you called the right person?
Unreal.
Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of worked
That
out
is
kind
so
of cool.
Yeah.
Well, you deserve it. That's for sure.
It's a team effort. It's my vision, but it takes a lot of people. It takes a village to get the work done and to like really change people's lives. It isn't about one person. So, but thank you. That's my whole
Are there
team is
any
amazing.
students that have gone on in life and moved on in life and they like have found success? And
Oh, we have lots of students. I
Wow.
mean, we actually I was with one of my students today. He is a Marine, and in his figuring out his life after the military, he's gravitating towards like nonprofit work. So he's been
his
using
influence.
He's been using TikTok, as he's been schooling me on how I should be using TikTok. Has a lot of followers, so he's been reaching out and finding different organizations with kids in need, and like collecting donations, collecting things. And so we went up to a children's acute care hospital. It's a nonprofit private organization today, and delivered like just some things that they needed, like sensory toys for the babies that they have,
Touchy-feely.
blankets, like snuggly blankets for the teens, and some shoes and some special shampoo. And I had put a thing out last week and said, hey, I'm doing this, if anybody wants to donate. And so that's what he's doing, finding his purpose in life, kind of like I did. So I'm going to be helping him with that. We have a number of kids. I think we have like 5 or 6 kids graduating from college this year, a couple with their masters.
Wow.
We have 2 students that I know of for sure that are married with kids and their first house. We have a lot of kids that are living like they're just living. They're living and not just trying to survive. So they're working. They're in school. They have their own place. They're doing the good life.
How does that make you feel, Robin?
Good. But that's the thing is like, yeah, we put in a time and effort, but really like they're the ones that have to decide to be the change makers, right? Like we just provide the resources. Like we can't do the hard work.
They have to.
They have to. So, it's really, we're here to guide them. We're kind of tools in their masterpiece.
Well, obviously, based on what you just said, it's working.
Yeah, like they're amazing. And you know what? Honestly, like every program, not every kid, most all of them get their high school diploma and go, but then it's the ones that stay that are gonna be the different ones, because sometimes change is hard, and like I said, it takes a lot of work, and I mean most adults don't want to do it, and I mean kids are gonna do it, we present it to them. We say, this is what we can help you with. This is what we can do. This is what we can offer you. But like, you've got to do the work. You've got to set the goals. You've got to meet the goals, right? So a lot of them do it, but some don't, you
Right.
know, and I just hope
That's with everything.
it is. And I just hope that, somewhere along the line, something we said or did, or, the kindness and compassion we showed is they don't forget it. And that maybe it'll be that thing that one day they're like, oh my gosh, like I don't need to be like this anymore.
You planted seeds.
Planted the seeds, yeah.
You planted seeds.
Yeah.
And
So
hopefully they throw the water on it and it grows later.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't happen in
Right.
this time, but down the road, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then they go with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
very
and we always tell kids, like, our door's always open. Doesn't matter your age. Like, I'll help anybody. So, especially somebody that wants to change and make their life better.
good. Yeah, you're
So,
there for 'em.
Yeah.
Well, Robyne, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. You guys are great.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's
Yeah.
and again, this is all about the HB community. That's why we designed it. I put it together because I know Don and I have some influences here, and it's just another venue to let people know what's going on in HB, and you're part of it. So
Well, thank you so much.
yeah,
So,
thank you
Appreciate
very much.
you.
That's the end of this episode. I'm Mel Craig,
I'm Don Ramsey.
and don't forget Robin's Nest Charity. Go to the website www.robinsnest.com.
.org.
.org.
.org. There you go. .org. Yeah. We got it. Just do what she said earlier. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Out.